Hello! It's Bobi, aka Paginator, and it's time for our August TBR game. So, I'm actually filming this on July 20th just because I'm going to be traveling later this week for a little while, and it's just going to help my schedule if we do this now. So, at this point, I have done some online book shopping. You may have seen in my 31 Books in 31 Days Part 2 vlog, and I'm still waiting for those books to come from Book Outlet, but they should be here in the next couple of days before I leave to travel. So I don't know, I'm hoping the package will arrive before I have to leave my house is what I'm saying. But anyway, all of that to say that I am considering those books as possibilities for August. I have my little printout of my order, so I remember what books I have, but I'll also, of course, be using the books that I have on my shelves here as well to choose from. And yeah, let's just get started with our bingo rolls. To recap, if you haven't seen my bingo version of the TBR game, I have a bingo cage, and this form of the TBR game is inspired by Kaylani at Kaylani Simply Reads. She has a wonderful channel, and she doesn't do the same kind of bingo game as she used to do in the past, but she still does really fun content and reads a lot of romance books. She's kind of shifted into like adult romance kind of things. But anyway, I keep trying to explain my game. So I have this bingo roller here, and I have a bingo board, and there are more spaces off the board than are on the board, but we have been trying to get a bingo this summer. Each number has a prompt on it, and we haven't reached a bingo yet, but I will insert a picture of the board like sitting on my floor over there before I hang it up back here. So you can see there are several places where we could get a bingo, and I'm going to tell you right now that if we get a bingo during this round on the board, then I have a book to give away to one of you guys. So we'll see if that happens. I am going to do 10 rolls unless I have to add bonus rolls because I get a number that's a multiple of 5. Then we have to add an extra roll. So last month I think we had to add 2 extra rolls. And we also, in addition to the 10 plus however many, do 1 pull from my hat of books and then 1 roll with my wooden TBR dice. So we're going to have a minimum of 12 books on this TBR, and I hope you're ready for it. So stay tuned and let's get into the rolls. Oh, 75. Oh, 75. Right away we have a skull and crossbones. That's a multiple of 5. We have to add an extra roll, and this says reread. So I have to reread something and then also add an extra roll. So for roll number 1, we got a reread, and I'm going to choose Emma by Jane Austen. Emma is a book about a young lady named Emma Woodhouse. She's very well-to-do, and she lives with her father, who's constantly worried about things going wrong. She has an older sister who's married and moved away, and she had kind of like a, what's the word, not a nanny, a governess that has just gotten married, and Emma fancies that she set up this governess with her now husband, and she fancies herself quite a matchmaker. She decides she's gonna set up a match for Mr. Elton, who's like the local priest or vicar or whatever, and she decides, oh, this girl Harriet, maybe she would be perfect, and she's always trying to scheme to set up matches between people. She has a friend named Mr. Knightley who is older than her. His brother is married to her older sister, so they're kind of related, but they've always been like very close neighbors, and they're like really great friends, but he is not afraid to tell her when she's overstepped her boundaries. And there's, of course, a romance for her as well in the book. That will be a nice reread because I have been rereading some Jane Austen this summer, and that's been lovely. I've already done Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion, and it's hard to choose. Like, Persuasion's always going to be my favorite Jane Austen. It's my favorite book of all time. But after that, like, it's hard to choose what is the second favorite of Jane Austen's books. I don't know, because it's always just the one that I'm listening to or reading at the time. But yeah, that'll be for rule number 1. And I feel like I've talked way too much. Rule number 2. I-26. Here's I-26. And random prompt times 2. So that means I have to randomize a prompt. And whatever that prompt is, I have to find 2 books. Why? I have cards from G's TBR game. And so for the randomize, we're just going to pull a card out. We have Bosco, an animal on the cover. So I need 2 books with animals on the cover. So rule number 2, we got I-26, a random prompt times 2. And then we used one of G's cards to get Bosco, an animal on the cover. So I have to have 2 books with animals on the cover. So I went to the books that I have done my recent order for. I talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the video. So I've got 2 that have animals on the cover there. And because they haven't arrived yet in the mail, they should be here any day, but they haven't arrived yet, I'm going to read the synopsis from Goodreads. So the first book will be Love, Canter, Action by Katie Gilbert. And this one says, Nora Green wants out of rural Georgia, and more importantly, out of the house she's been resentfully occupying with her father and his wife. It's been 5 months since her mama died, and the state dumped her on her father's doorstep, and Nora's been counting every second. With the sudden closure of the Shep Horse Ranch, Nora's last home away from home comes 2 surprises. News of her admission to a prestigious equine training program in Montana, and a job wrangling horses on a movie set to cover the costs. To eternal nightmare, she discovers that the movie stars teen heartthrob Alexander Mathis, hot off the heels of a very public scandal. Not that Nora cares who he is. To her, he's just the obnoxious stranger who interrupted her dinner the night before. When photos of their argument are misread as a passionate affair, the internet falls head over hooves for Hollywood's newest couple. Eager to capitalize on the press, Alec offers Nora a deal. Go on 3 fake dates with him and he'll cover her ticket to Montana. But the lines between script and reality have a way of blurring, and when the truth about Alec's scandal catches up to him, Nora has a choice. Continue shutting everyone out or open her heart to the love that's always been around her. So that is a young adult romance, and it sounds like it could be really fun. You do know me, though. I get really picky when it comes to things that I know about, like rodeo, horses, that kind of stuff. Like, if those things are wrong, I immediately disengage. So here's hoping the author knows what she's talking about. Second one for this prompt is going to be A Crane Among Wolves by June Her. And this synopsis says, 1506, Joseon. The people suffer under the cruel reign of the tyrant king Yongsan. Powerless to stop him from commandeering their land for his recreational use, banning and burning books, and kidnapping and horrifically abusing women and girls as personal playthings. 17-year-old Isul has lived a sheltered, privileged life despite the kingdom's turmoil. When her older sister Suyeon becomes the king's latest prey, Isul leaves the relative safety of her village, traveling through forbidden territory to reach the capital in hopes of stealing her sister back. But she soon discovers the king's power is absolute, and to change his rule is to court certain death. Prince Daehyun has lived his whole life in the terrifying shadow of his despicable half-brother, the king. Forced to watch King Yongsan flaunt his predation through executions and rampant abuse of the common folk, Daehyun aches to find a way to dethrone his half-brother once and for all. When staging a coup, failure is fatal, and he'll need help to pull it off, but there's no way to know who he can trust. When Isul and Daehyun's fates collide, their contempt for each other is transcended only by their mutual hate for the king. Armed with Isul's family connections and Daehyun's royal access, they reluctantly join forces to launch the riskiest gamble the kingdom has ever seen. Save her sister, free the people, destroy a tyrant. So it sounds really good. It gives me a little bit of vibes of that Renee Athier series it's at school, so I can't think of the title. And I can't look for it. I don't know why I'm still looking over at my shelves like it's going to help me. Dang, I can see the cover in my head, but I can't think of the title. But anyway, beside the point. I'm excited for this one. Rule number 3. G52. G52 is multiple POV. Rule number 3 was G52, multiple POV, and I have this book, A Little Bit Country. This is by Brian D. Kennedy, and it's been sitting on my shelves for a while. Emmett McGuire wants to be country music's biggest gay superstar, a far reach when you're 17 and living in Illinois. But for now, he's happy to do the next best thing, stay with his aunt in Jackson Hollow, Tennessee for the summer and perform at the amusement park owned by his idol, country legend Wanda G. Stubbs. Luke Barnes hates country music. As a grandson of Verna Rose, the disgraced singer who had a famous falling out with Wanda Jean, Luke knows how much pain country music has brought his family. But when his mom's medical bills start piling up, he takes a job at the last place he wants, a restaurant at Wanda World. Neither boy is looking for romance, but sparks fly when they meet, and soon they're inseparable, until a long-lost secret about Verna and Wanda comes to light, threatening to unravel everything. Will Emmett and Luke be able to get past the truths they discover, or will their relationship go down in history as just another sad country love song? By the way, if you're wondering why I don't have the camera like I usually do during bingo, I usually raise it up a lot higher so we can see more of the board and stuff. It's because it kills my back to do it that way. And I'm not going to go through having my back go out again on me this summer. No. So let's just keep rolling. Roll number 4. I-30. It's going to be another extra roll. I-30 random word generator. In case you're wondering about like why the first one we saw had a skull and crossbones and that one didn't, when I was making this, my original plan was just have the extra rolls on anything ending in a 5, and then I changed my mind after I'd already made all the cards and I didn't want to reprint them. So I could just unchange my mind and not do the extra roll. But I've already said that was the rule, so I don't know. We'll stick with the extra roll, add the roll, and you know what? If I do this bingo again next summer, maybe we'll change the rules a little bit. It's what it is already. Oh gosh. For roll number 4, we got I-30, a random word generator. And I'm going to do a little screen recording and we'll generate some words and see if we can come up with something. Okay, so some of the promising words on that list were rush, cry, captivate, and organize. So I'm going to write them down before they fly right out of my head. And then I'll take a little perusal of my shelves and I shall be back. All I can say is thank goodness for video editing because that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. What I ended up doing was, since we had the word captivate, I picked a book that I think is going to captivate me. It's been on my TBR for ages, but I think once I really get stuck into it, then I will just be like completely sucked in and want to just go. So it is A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, and it says, Gemma Doyle isn't like other girls with impeccable manners who speak when spoken to, who remember their station, and who will lie back and think of England when it's required of them. No, 16-year-old Gemma is an island unto herself, sent to the Spence Academy in London after tragedy strikes her family in India. Lonely, guilt-ridden, and prone to visions of the future that have an uncomfortable habit of coming true, Gemma finds a chilly reception. But she's not completely alone. She's been followed by a mysterious young man who warns her to close her mind against the visions. For it's at Spence that Gemma's power to attract the supernatural unfolds. There she becomes entangled with the school's most powerful girls and discovers her mother's connection to a shadowy group called the Order. It's there that her destiny waits if only she can believe it. Or believe in it, excuse me. So, I think this is going to be really interesting. It seems like kind of a mystery plus historical things, like Victorian, I don't know. I'm excited to read this though. Like I said, it's been on my shelf for ages. So, I just need to like read it. Roll number 5. Dang it, I thought I was going to be able to make it without dropping one of the bingo balls on the floor. That didn't happen. G57. G57 is contemporary. Roll number 5, we got a contemporary, and so I'm going to go with one of the books that I ordered, which is Sunkissed by Casey West. Casey West is perfect for non-smutty YA romance. Number 1 recommendation if you're looking for that. So the synopsis says, Avery has always used music as an escape, but after her best friend betrays her, even her perfectly curated playlist can't help but forget what happened. To make matters worse, her parents have dragged her and her social media-obsessed sister to a remote family camp for 2 months of fun. Just when Avery's ready to give up on the summer together, she meets Brooks, mysterious, frustratingly charming Brooks, who just happens to be on staff, which means he's off limits. Ooh, are we getting like Dirty Dancing vibes, anyone? What starts as a disaster turns into something else. As the outside world falls away, Avery embarks on a journey of self-discovery, and when Brooks offers her the chance of a lifetime, she must figure out how far she's willing to go to find out what she wants and who she wants to be. We still haven't got one on the board yet, and I'm kind of bummed. Maybe this next one will be the key. G54. Not on the board, dang it. G54. Shiny cover. Roll number 6, we got G54, a shiny cover, and for this I have The Bridge Kingdom, a very shiny indeed. This is a special edition by Danielle Jensen. And the synopsis says, a warrior princess trained in isolation, Lara is driven by two certainties. The first is that King Aaron of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy, and the second is that she'll be the one to bring him to his knees. The only route through a storm-ravaged world, the Bridge Kingdom enriches itself and deprives its rivals, including Lara's homeland. So when she's sent as a bride under the guise of peace, Lara is prepared to do whatever it takes to fracture its impenetrable defenses and the defenses of its king. Yet, as she infiltrates her new home and gains a deeper understanding of the war to possess the bridge, Lara begins to question whether she's the hero or the villain, and as her feelings for Aaron transform from frosty hostility to fierce passion, Lara must choose which kingdom she'll save and which kingdom she'll destroy. Rule number 7, I keep getting G. G55. Oh, G55. I'm going to add another roll for us. Gosh. G55, spooky read. Roll number 7, we have G55, a spooky read, and I'm going to choose She is a Haunting. This is by Trang Tan Tran, if I said that name correctly at all. Let's see. When Jade Nguyen arrives in Vietnam to visit her estranged father, she has one goal: survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house Ba is restoring. She's always liked to fit in, and if she's straight enough, Vietnamese enough, American enough, she can get out with the college money he promised. But the house has other plans. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralyzed. The walls exude a thrumming sound while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places they don't belong. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies just reading She finds curious traces of her ancestors in the gardens they once tended, and at night Jade can't ignore the ghost of the beautiful bride who leaves cryptic warnings: don't eat. Neither Ba nor her sweet sister Lily believe anything strange is happening. With help from a delinquent girl, Jade tries to expose the house's rotten appetite. At home, after all, is only as powerful as those who breathe new life into its bones, and this one is determined never to be abandoned again. It sounds terrifying. What am I thinking? It's definitely going to be spooky. Roll number 7. I-29. We got one on the board. I-29 is a TBR veteran. Roll 8, we got I-29, a TBR veteran, and for this one I'm going to go with a middle grade that I've been meaning to read for a while. This is Barely Floating by Lilian Rivera. And this says 12-year-old Natalia de la Cruz Rivera y Santiago, aka Nat, has a successful side hustle at the local Boyle Heights pool, out swimming neighborhood kids who doubt her athleticism. Her summer plans of making easy money and reading manga with her best friend Joan change once she sees the LA Mermaids perform. The moment they emerge out of the water in matching sequin swimsuits and Nat sees that the team is made up of women of all sizes and shades, synchronized swimming steals her heart. The problem? Her activist mom and Professor Dad are dead set against her joining a sport that's essentially a pageant in the water. Nat won't give up easily, though. Growing up as the youngest of 4, she knows how to fight for what she wants. She'll just secretly try out for the LA Mermaids, and after she's been a member for a few weeks, her parents will see how dedicated she is. But as the expensive dues and lies to her family pile up, Nat will have to face that maybe she can't have it all. So this sounds really cute and fun, and plus it's small, which will be helpful because I'm going to be reading a lot this month. Okay, I don't know if we're going to get a bingo, though. I'm worried about that. Second time I dropped one. B2. B2, a new to me author. Roll number 9, we got B2, a new to me author. And so this is another book that I ordered. This is Medici Heist by Caitlin Schneiderhan. And this says, Welcome to Florence, 1517, a world of intrigue, opulence, secrets, and murder. The Medici family rules the city from their seat of wealth, but the people of Florence remember the few decades they spent as a republic, free from the Medicis and their puppet Pope Leo X. Sharp-witted 17-year-old con woman Rosa Cellini has plans for the Pope and the Medicis, and more specifically the mountain of indulgence money they've been extorting from the people of Tuscany. To pull off the Renaissance's greatest robbery, she'll recruit a team of capable Sarah the Tinkerer, Khalid the Fighter, and Giacomo, I think, the irrepressible master of disguise. To top it all off and to smooth their entrance into the fortress-like Palazzo Medici, Rosa even enlists the reluctant help of famed artist and local misanthrope Michelangelo. Old secrets resurface and tensions in the gang flare as the authorities draw closer and the Medici's noose pulls tighter around Tuscany itself. What begins as a robbery becomes a bid to save Florence from certain destruction if Rosa and company don't destroy each other first. This sounds fantastic. Roll 10. I-24. I-24 says 20-sided dice. So I make a list of 20 books, roll my 20-sided dice, and that will pick a book for me to read. So for roll number 10, we have I-24 20-sided dice. I have a little pad here that has 20 books written on it, and I have my 20-sided dice here, and we are going to roll, and that will determine the book that we grab. All right, let's see. Number 8. Okay, we have a pho love story. So here it is, a pho love story by Loan Lee. If Bao Wen had to describe himself, he'd say he was a rock. Steady and strong, but not particularly interesting. His grades are average, his social status unremarkable. He works at his parents' pho restaurant, and even there he is his parents' 5th favorite employee. Not ideal. If Lin Mai had to describe herself, she'd say she was a firecracker. Stable when unlit, but full of potential for joy and spark and fire. She loves art and dreams of pursuing a career in it. The only problem? Her parents rely on her in ways they're not willing to admit, including working practically full-time at her family's pho restaurant. For years, the Mais and Wins have been at odds, having owned competing neighborhood pho restaurants. Bao and Lin, who've avoided each other for most of their lives, both suspect that the feud stems from feelings much deeper than friendly competition. A chance encounter brings Lin and Bao in the same vicinity despite their best efforts. And sparks fly, leading them to both wonder what took so long for them to connect. But then, of course, they immediately remember. Can Lin and Bao find love in the midst of feuding families and complicated histories? Now I have to also mention, I have never had pho, but I've seen it on like cooking shows and stuff, and it always looks so dang delicious. I really need to try it. Maybe I should look for like a pho restaurant in Utah or somewhere where I can get to fairly easily and have some pho while I'm reading this book. Roll 11. B15. Another extra roll. B15, odd number of pages. Roll number 11, we got B15, an odd number of pages. And for this, we're going to go with this little guy. It is a really pretty book. It's called The Beautiful Maddening by Shay Earnshaw. Shay Earnshaw is an author that I just kind of gravitate towards. Really loved everything I've read from her. This says, love I've always known cannot be trusted. 17-year-old Lark Good wants only one thing, to escape her small town of Cutwater and the history of her family name. It's a history that began during the Dutch tulip mania of 1636, when Lark's ancestors stole the last remaining tulip bulbs and fled to America. But when the tulips bloomed on American soil, madness sprouted from their snowy white petals. The madness was love. Now, generations later, the Goods remained cursed. The unnatural flowers outside their home caused locals to fall helplessly in love with anyone carrying good blood in their veins. While her brother embraces the strange power, Lark wants nothing more than to be free from it. But when she meets a boy who seems unaffected by the family curse, Lark finds herself falling headlong into a feeling she spent her whole life trying to avoid. Yet all curses and magic come with a price, and the town of Cutwater soon sinks into a dangerous sickness tied to Lark and the ill-fated tulips. To break the spell and save the town, Lark will need to sacrifice everything, even true love, because in the Good family, love has a way of destroying everything. I think that's such an interesting idea of like curses brought upon by flowers. Like, crazy. I would just like to throw this out in the universe. The school starts in August. Am I going to have time to read this many books? I don't know. My TBR game wants to murder me. Roll 12. G48. G48 is my deck of TBR. So I have a TBR card deck that I made ages ago, and we will have to take a look at that. For roll 12, we have G48, which is my deck of TBR. So I've got my cards here in this little tin. We're gonna mix them up. I'm already so scared of how much I have to read this month, you guys. Okay, here's our card. And what does it say? Read a funny book or one you think will be funny. Okay, I'm not mad at that. All right, I will once again take a little perusal of my shelves, and I will be back with you shortly. Okay, so I've got one that I think is going to have some funny moments in it. This is May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Eller. It also involves football, and football starts in August for me, so perfect timing. Jeremy Harkis, cheer captain and student body president, will let coming out as a transgender boy ruin his senior year. Instead of bowing to the bigots and outdated school administration, Jeremy decides to make some noise. And how better than by challenging his all-star ex-boyfriend Lucas for the title of Homecoming King. Lucas Rivers, football star and head of the homecoming committee, is just trying to find order in his life after his older brother's funeral and the loss of his long-term girlfriend, who turned out to be a boy. But when Jeremy threatens to break his heart and steal his crown, Lucas kickstarts a plot to sabotage Jeremy's campaign. When both boys take their rivalry too far, they jeopardize the entire dance. To save homecoming, they'll have to face the hurt they're both hiding and the lingering butterflies they can't deny. So, definitely some sad things in here, but I think there's going to be some funny moments I'm predicting because, it's high school, homecoming king race that teenagers think is everything, but it's really has no meaning whatsoever. So maybe it'll just be funny for me. I don't know. Roll 13. I-16. Another one on the board. I-16. Started but quit. I might have a good one for that one. All right, roll number 13. Started but quit. I am going to go for the Gilded Ones. This is by Namina Forna. And I did start this but quit it, but have thought about it often. So, yeah, why is there no blurb on the back of this? It's a paperback. What the heck? Never fear, there's a blurb on the inside. I was so confused for a minute. Okay. Decca lives in fear of the blood ceremony that will determine whether she can become a member of her village. If she bleeds red, she will belong. But on the day of the ceremony, her blood runs gold, the color of impurity, of a demon. The consequences force Decca to leave her village with a mysterious woman destined to join an army of girls like her, the Alakai, girls who are near immortals with rare gifts, and the only ones able to stop the Empire's greatest threat. But as she journeys to the captain to train for the battle of her life, Decca discovers the great walled city holds many surprises. Nothing and no one are quite what they seem, not even Decca herself. I remember the scene of the bloodletting ceremony very vividly in my mind, so I am very intrigued to get back into this book. Roll 14. It spat out 2, so we're just going to take the first one that came out, which is N44. N44 is even number of pages. Roll number 14, we got N44, an even number of pages, and I'm going to go with another one of the books that I've ordered. This is The Summer of Lost Letters by Hannah Reynolds. 17-year-old Abby Schoenberg isn't exactly looking forward to summer before her senior year. She's just broken up with her first boyfriend, and her friends are all off in different exciting directions for the next 3 months. Abby needs a plan, an adventure of her own. Enter the letters. They show up one rainy day along with the rest of Abby's recently deceased grandmother's possessions. And these aren't any old letters, they're love letters. Love letters from a mysterious man named Edward. Love letters from a mansion on Nantucket. Abby doesn't know much about her grandmother's past. She knows she was born in Germany and moved to the U.S. when she was 5, fleeing the Holocaust. But the details are either hazy or non-existent, and these letters depict a life that is a bit different than the quiet one Abby knows about. And so, Abby heads to Nantucket for the summer to learn more about her grandmother and the secrets she kept. But when she meets Edward's handsome grandson who wants to stop her from investigating, things get complicated. As Abby and Noah grow closer, the mysteries in their families deepen, and they discover that they both have to accept the burdens of their past if they want the kind of futures they've always imagined. I love the idea of, the grandma having, some secret history that she didn't tell her grandkids about. That sounds really cool. So that's the end of the bingo rolls. We still have the hat and the wooden dice to do, but that also means we did not get a bingo on this board this entire summer. I am sorry. Dang. All right, we're gonna do our pull from the magic hat. And I always caution you, this hasn't been updated in a while, so it could be that I've already read whatever I pull out of here. Let's see. That book I unhauled. Do I still have this one? I think I do. So, I pulled Blood Scion by Deborah Fallay. I am a descendant of Shango, the god of heat and fire. I am a living inferno. I am a dead girl walking. 15-year-old Sloane can incinerate an enemy at will. She is a scion, a descendant of the ancient Orisha gods, but under brutal rule of the Lucis, her identity means her death. Her mother knew as much. She disappeared trying to hide Sloane's truth. Sloane, too, has hidden her abilities, but on her 15th birthday, she is conscripted into the Lucis army. Once taken, Sloane must not only conceal her power, but overcome the bloody challenges of Lucis training. But if she can infiltrate the Lucis, she could destroy her enemies, the people who think of her as less than human, the overlords responsible for her mother's disappearance. Sloane rises through the ranks and gains strength, but in doing so risks something greater, losing herself entirely and becoming the very monster she abhors. This I got in a fairy loot box. It has beautiful blue sprayed edges, and it sounds like a fun adventure. So maybe not fun is the right word, but entertaining adventure. And that leaves nothing else but to roll our wooden dice. One will give us the location of where we find the book, and one will give us a genre. So first dice roll says audiobook, and second dice roll says romance. And lastly, hallelujah, we have our dice roll, and we got audiobook and romance. And so I just went on Libby and started looking at the top YA romances and picked one that was available to check out now. So we're going to go with Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen. When 18-year-old Eva Wong's parents sent her from Ohio to Taiwan to study Mandarin for the summer, she finds herself thrust among the very overachieving kids her parents have always wanted her to be, including Rick Wu, the Yale-bound prodigy profiled in the Chinese newspaper since they were 9, and her parents' yardstick for her never measuring up life. Unbeknownst to her parents, however, the program is actually an infamous teen meat market nicknamed Love Boat, where the kids are more into clubbing than calligraphy and drinking snake blood sake than touring sacred shrines. Free for the first time, Ever sets out to break all her parents' uber-strict rules, but how far can she go before she breaks her own heart? Heard lots of people talk about this before, and I'm excited to finally read it. So that brings us to the end of the August TBR. I will hold up the books that I have here physically to share with you. Like I said, I hope my book package does come in the next couple of days or so they will be ready. But even just this much that I have right here is plenty. Please consider me in your good thoughts, prayers, vibes, etc. for the month of August, because I'll be starting school and football season and trying to read a whole heck of a lot. So we'll see how it goes. And I guess that's all for today. So yeah, I hope your July has been great. I've been doing my reading challenge and having lots of fun doing that. And yeah, as I'm filming this, like I said, it's on the 20th and Sharkathon starts today. So without further ado, I'm going to go watch some shark shows, and you guys have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.